I was a manager, and I had a private one night, and so it was just me. And they wanted me to come up to Ward F, which is the violent men's ward. And said they were going to be down in the Bedpost Murder Room. And they said, would you come up and help us do a session? I'm like, okay. I said, I'll be up in a few minutes. I got a couple things to do down here, and then I'll come up.
Bedpost Murder Room. Let's make a note on that, and we'll bring that up after this. Okay, I got to know that one too. Keep going. Right. Keep going.
So I get everything done downstairs. I go up. I'm walking down into Ward C. There's a nurse's station. The nurses don't like me walking in their little, and it's a marking on the floor where the nurse's station used to be. Okay. That's all it is just a black mark where this was at one time. And anytime I step in that, I get choked up. I get, something happens. Well, I walk and I wasn't paying attention. I go through the nurse's station. Copperhead. I said, yeah, what? Nothing. I said, you guys got to do better than that to scare me. And I'm looking in all the rooms. Nobody there. I said, I don't have time right now. I'll come back and talk to you in a little bit. I got to find my group. So I took off. And I'm headed down to the end of C. I cut across the transition hallway into F. I hear people talking at the end of F. So I walk down there. Nobody's there. I'm like, what? I just heard them. So I'm looking through all the rooms and everything. There's nobody down there. So I'm walking out. As I get probably 20 feet to the transition hallway, footsteps come running up the ward towards me. And I said, you guys are going all out tonight, aren't you? And I kicked on my flashlight, turned around thinking I was going to see one of the group. Ain't nobody there. Footsteps still coming. And I said, this is your ward. You stay here. I have to find my group. We will be back. And I went over into C. Well, I get into C and I notice the door across from the transition hallway, the door's open. That door's never open. It's got a closure. It stays shut. I'm like, well, who blocked that? I don't remember, but I wasn't paying attention. Whatever. So I start going up the hallway. Door shuts. Turn around, check out why the door. Try and see if somebody blocked it, couldn't figure it out. Heading back up I get up to the nurse's station. Copperhead. I'm like, okay. So I reach in, I got my audio recorder. I said, you know me, who are you? And I started recording, trying to get something going. And I looked up and I watched a man walk into the auditorium, just like looking at us. Mm-hmm. I'm like, there's my group. And I said, we're going to have to continue this later. So I shut it off and headed up. And I got my flashlight out. I usually kick my flashlight on when I'm close to somebody so I don't scare them. So I kicked my flashlight on. I said, hey, man, didn't want to scare you. And I'm looking, there's nobody in there. And I looked down on the floor and everything and went out into the other hallways and checked. There wasn't a soul. And it was, like I said, it was like looking at one of us. Yeah. It was solid. It was a solid figure, blue jeans and a jacket, dark headed. I can't remember the face, the face, but yeah.
And there's nowhere really they could have went.
And no, there's no place they could have went.
No exit that you didn't. Yeah.
Well, there's exits on either side,
but they had to get by you.
But they'd had to got by me on this side.
Gotcha.
The other side, and then I hurried up and went into that hallway. There's nobody there. I mean, I went both directions as fast as I could, and there wasn't nobody. And then I heard noise up on the 4th floor. So I went up to the 4th floor. There's my group. And I said, y'all just missed it. Now, the Bedpost Murder Room.
Yeah.
That is at the end of Ward F. And what happened was there was a patient that I think they said he was autistic. They said he was a deaf mute for a long time. And then we found out that he was autistic and couldn't communicate.
Just nonverbal.
Yeah, nonverbal.
Sure.
And he got he would get angry when he couldn't talk to somebody, and he'd hit the wall or hit whatever. So they made him and put him in the violent ward.
Oh, yeah.
And he shouldn't have been.
Sure.
And anyway, there was another patient that didn't like him. And when this patient set his sights on you, you were going to get it. And anyway, they went down there. He talked another patient into helping him, tied bed sheets around his neck, threw it over a pipe and lift him up. And then they'd let him down. They'd lift him up, and then they'd let him down. They thought they'd killed him. Laid him on the floor, was taking the bed sheets from around his neck, and he moved. So they had these tube frame beds with the tube legs. They picked it up, put it on his temple, jumped up and down on it, drove it through his skull, and killed him.
Wow.
Then from what
this is documented.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then from what we heard, they went up and said, you should see what the ghosts did in our room. And they went down and found him dead. And that guy also had another patient he didn't like and got it in the room, or they roomed him with him or something. And somehow he got his feet up against the guy's chest or his knees and had the guy pinned and was pushing and basically suffocated him. The nurses asked him, why did you do that? He said, because he was taking up my oxygen. So, yeah.
Yeah. So there was some crazy
that'll tell you what the violent ward was like a little bit.
That's awful. That's awful.